Hi, I'm Katka. I'm Slovakian living in Vancouver, BC. I'm going to show you the video about Slovakia, some facts. I'm going to talk to a Canadian living in Slovakia, and then I'm going to show you how easy it is to get a working holiday in the middle of the Europe. Slovakia is in the middle of the Europe, in close proximity of Austria, Czech Republic, and so on. It is within a few hours driving distance to major cities. It is around 3 to 4 hours drive to Prague, 45 minutes to Vienna, 2 hours drive to Budapest, 6 hours drive to Venice, Italy, or 5.5 hours to Rijeka, Croatia. Slovakia is a member of European Union, which allows you to travel within European Schengen so freely once you're in Slovakia. And since May 2009, Slovakia is a member of European Monetary Union, which means we use euro. Slovakia is in a Central European time. On the picture, we're in a +1 zone, which means 1 hour ahead of London, as London is set as a 0. Slovakia has 4 seasons: summer, autumn, winter, and spring. Slovakia has lowlands, highlands, and mountains. It is famous for nature, but special for many beautiful castles. Nearly each city has a castle. We have many caves, and a lot of UNESCO sites, especially wooden villages.
So we have here Benjamin from Canada. Say something about you, where you're from, and how long are you living in Slovakia?
I was born in Waterloo, and after I finished Teachers College at University of Toronto, I moved to Slovakia to teach English for a year, and that was about 15 years ago. And I'm still here now. I still teach English, and I run a small cafe in town.
Nice, nice. So probably the first question would be, how safe you think Slovakia is?
I think it's very safe. I've never had any problems. Like anywhere, if you're not careful, your wallet can be stolen or something like that. There's petty crime. But in general, I've never actually been pickpocketed. And we walk the streets at night without really any worries. In Bratislava, it's a big city, but it's still a small city. They call it Little Big City. And like anywhere, there is crime, certainly, but there's lots of police, there's lots of lights. I have no fears. I have no fears when my wife walks around at night, and in general, it's quite a safe place.
You can get around with English around Slovakia or in Bratislava.
Well, Bratislava is very different than the rest of Slovakia, and in Bratislava now, it's very easy to get around with English. Many people speak English, and most restaurants have menus already translated to English, which is sometimes quite amusing because some of the translations are quite funny. But it's quite easy, and outside of Bratislava it's a little bit different. Less people speak English, but the thing that I've enjoyed the most is that people are very amazed when you speak any Slovak. And in the beginning, when I would be teaching English and I could say on the telephone, "Good morning" in Slovak, and my students would be amazed that I could speak Slovak, and these were people who were having conversations in English as a second language. And in general, when I'd be out and I could use my little bit of Slovak or some English to get something, but if I could say thank you or hello in Slovak, people were amazed and so happy that I could speak any Slovak. And you know, a few words like thank you, beer, and goodbye, and it can get you a lot of places.
That's true, that's true. What do you think are the cultural differences between Canada and Slovakia?
Well, that's one thing that I like here, that I find there aren't a lot of differences. I can remember when I first came here, we were most shocked by the fact that people were drinking alcohol and beer in the morning. There's no time when the bars are closed. You can buy that any time. And we'd go to the supermarket, and there were women in high heels and miniskirts doing their grocery shopping. And you never saw any women in track pants and sweatsuits. And the way people dressed up just to go out anywhere was pretty big. And these small cultural differences, it was a little bit behind, but now everything that we have in Canada is here basically. But for me, the bigger surprise has been the similarities. This is the other side of the Iron Curtain, and the people my age, we all listened to the same music when we were younger, and we all had the same interest and watched the same movies, even though we were separated by what I thought was a really strong border, this Iron Curtain. And I find that Slovakia, especially with Canada, has a lot of similarities, because they're countries that are both very proud of their beer, and they're countries that live in the shadow of their bigger, more well-known neighbor, who influences a lot of their culture, and we kind of have to fight for some of the limelight. And so to me, it's really nice to be in Slovakia. I can watch hockey, drink beer, and talk to people with all the same interests, and I'm surprised by just how similar things are. And in a lot of our beliefs about things, in a lot of our discussions about politics or about how we see the world, it's very similar. So the nice thing for me has been just the similarities. I forgot the one big difference I remember when I first came here was McDonald's didn't have breakfast, and people were eating hamburgers for breakfast, and I was so shocked by that. But over time, McDonald's got breakfast, and we don't have to eat hamburgers anymore.
Right. Have you also traveled around Slovakia? Did you see some good places? Can you give some tips to Canadians who are coming to Slovakia?
Yeah, so I love traveling around Slovakia. I personally don't like driving, and I love taking the train. And the train system here is fantastic. It's cheap, it goes everywhere, and again, you can sit in a restaurant car and eat and drink and travel around the country. There's so many small villages. Whenever I ask people, or my students, what I should show them, they always recommend to me that I should show them the nature. And I should show visitors the mountains in Slovakia and just what great nature we have here. Which to me is kind of funny, because I'm from Canada and we have big mountains and we have a lot of nature and a lot of nice things to see. But what we don't have in Canada are old villages. What we don't have in Canada are castles. And these are things that are all over Slovakia. You can go visit castle ruins, you can go visit castles that are museums. Small villages actually are still small villages where you can sit in a small town bar and meet local people. And the ease of traveling by the train makes it that you can go anywhere. Recently I went and saw Demanovka Jaskina, which is a big cave, and it was amazing, a 45-minute tour through a big cave, and we had to choose from one of the many caves located in this area. And there's Banska Štiavnica, which is an old mining town, which is almost like Bratislava's second home or weekend home. Everybody from Bratislava goes there, and it's full. There's mountains and hills to hike in. There's a nice downtown area full of old classic buildings. We always joke that in Toronto we were worried about what would happen to Maple Leaf Gardens because it was an old landmark. But here buildings are hundreds of years old. For years I lived in a building that was 300 years old, and it's a whole different perspective of history. And Slovakia is quite a small country. I think we have some lakes in Canada that are as big as the whole country. But traveling across it makes it seem much, much larger. And there's cultural differences from the east to the west, the north to the south. People are different, the local foods are different, the local drinks are different, and even the language is a little bit different across the country. So everywhere you go, there's something else to see. And as I mentioned before, people are very proud of the country. And not just when they play hockey and they win, but in general, people are proud to show you around their hometowns, to tell you about these places, because every place is different, and Bratislava especially is full of people who have moved from different cities to Bratislava, but they still want to tell you about where they're from, and they're still proud of that region and that town. So traveling anywhere in Slovakia is so easy by the trains, and really everywhere's a little adventure.
Thank you, Benjamin.
So now you know a little bit about Slovakia, you know where it is, you have a first-hand information from a Canadian. If you're a Canadian between 18 and 35, you have a unique opportunity to work and live in Slovakia. Let me show you how.